Hi, Lara Helena here. I am at Mark Z's SQC and wanting to share a little bit about my experience since I got to test out all the amazing transformative devices at this amazing center. It's been a few days since I had it, and I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about the experience of actually having it and then like what happened afterwards. So, starting with the starting with the BioWell, that was a test where you're sticking your finger inside this really amazing device that's picking up your light signature. And so I did all 10 fingers, and then that took the information into the computer, and we got a plethora of graphs and images and my chakra field and all kinds of stuff. And so it was really fascinating to see what was going on. I think the biggest thing was that I recently, about a month ago, had some blood work done and found out some interesting stuff about my health. And at this level, this device was able to pick up exactly similar things. So I was like, wow, okay, it's definitely really, at another level, picking up a signature and a frequency of what's going on with my body. The interesting thing was that I was actually started at a certain level of energy and stress, and kind of in an area where I was showing that I was living kind of a state of anxiety, and or at least when they tested me, which I didn't feel anxious, but that's what it was picking up. And by the time 4.5 hours of doing all of these amazing devices, at the end I was in a very normal and calm state of frequency and energy. So that was really interesting to see that. I think that was like one of the biggest shifts in my own energy was that, and also the areas in which I was showing that were matching what I had seen in my own blood work. It too was showing that there was a big shift, that I went from like a place where it was showing in red, and now I was down into a green only in the 4 hours of doing all of these tests. So that was pretty significant, and thought, okay, this is really some powerful devices here. So and the second test that we did was the breathing, yes, not the breathing, the capnometry. There we go. So yeah, so the second test that I did was called capnometry. I'd never heard of it before. So a device where you're testing your breathing, and I've been a meditator and a conscious breather for over 2 decades, and really have always loved the work with the breath in yoga, as an athlete, as a dancer, and really connected to the fact that I, could swim underwater, like double length of the pool, and like had a really good access to my own breath and an understanding of it. And this test was really profound because it showed me a way in which I never understood the breath, and it showed me another avenue of how I can utilize the breath in an everyday way, like whether I'm driving in my car, or I'm sitting, washing the dishes, or I'm lying in bed going to sleep, that it doesn't need to be an action that I have to take. It's just a new way of breathing normally, is kind of how I felt it. So it's just an ease. And what was interesting was that my body really wanted to reject it. And so I realized, wow, I'm in a state, and that's what the graphs showed, was that I'm actually really under the norm of what my breath should be, and the levels, the chemical levels of where it should be. And that was the most shocking, because I thought, oh, I'm a breath worker. Connected with my breath. I practice some kind of breath exercises on a daily basis. But I have, with the other things that have been going on with my health, I've been noticing that I've been out of breath. I have had a heightened amount of emotional stress and physical stress in the last few months. And I've really noticed that, like, my health, like my cardiovascular health, my respiratory health has been hit. So it really showed me directly, okay, then this is exactly what I'm feeling. In the same way that blood work showed me something, and I saw it on the light, signature, I was now able to see directly through this test, okay, there's definitely something going on with my respiratory, and I need to. So in the feedback of that, I have had, as I said, a few days since we did the test, so I was able to practice this breath ease technique that Mark teaches, um, and so beautifully was able to explain to me. And even though I was having a little bit of anxiety to try to practice it because I kept wanting to go back into my normal breathing pattern, I was able to access it and really feel the shift and the benefits. And it was almost like sometimes thinking, am I breathing? When was my last breath? What's going on here? Something's changing. So yeah, it's really fascinating, and I look forward to practice more. And one of the things that Mark actually explained to me too is that within this realm of like learning this new breath ease, there's also a way to train the body how to not get disruptive sleep patterns. So to train, he does teachings on how to not get woken up in the night to have to go to the bathroom, which my entire life I've always got up at some time during the night or the early morning to go to the bathroom. So I thought, okay, I'm ready to get that taught to me too and practice. So that was the next test that we did. The following one, which I have to say is probably one of my favorites, was the neurofeedback. And that was the one you can see in the video where I'm wearing the big skull and have all the wires connected to me. And it was able to basically trace, and it's kind of like a real-time direct feedback of what's going on in the alpha, beta, theta, and gamma waves going on in my brain. So he was able to flick on a switch and say, okay, now this is your alpha that's picking up this, and then so I had about 15-20 minutes each, and then we did 2 rounds of it where I was able to just sit with the device and kind of tap in, and it had kind of like a flashing light and some sound frequency that was coming out that my brain was making. So if it's a nice smooth line and a nice solid light, then you're really strong in that brainwave. And if it's flickering all over the place, it means you're all over the place inside your mind. So having been a meditator for many years, and feeling as though I was like really connected to that part of myself, it was fascinating to me. And I think the strongest part was just really feeling that you're having a conversation. You're almost like playing a game with a device in your brain. And when you are able to really have the feedback directly to show you, oh, you're really in the sweet spot, and you just can hone in to that sensation inside, you can really feel that frequency inside. It's like learning a new choreography, and you finally get the steps that you've been learning, and you're like, oh, I got it. I can do a pirouette. You're like, I'm balancing, So it's the same thing. You're like walking on a tightrope, and you're trying to balance the whole time. So you're like, whoa, I'm falling over here. And then when you get that sweet spot, it's like, oh, there it is. So it was like a muscle memory, but it was a neurological memory of like really remembering, oh, this is where I need to go to access this brainwave pattern. So I'd love to do it more because, again, like anything you're training, you have to do it a few times before the muscle memory or the neurological memory comes in. But I made a new relationship with my brain that I had never had and experienced. And having done meditation and kind of knowing the sweet spot of like, wow, I really got into the zone. There was no thoughts. I left time. I was gone for an hour and a half, and I came back and I'm like, whoo, here I am again. To have that direct feedback to show you, yes, you were in theta for 1 hour, or you were in gamma for, this amount of time, and to really feel what that feels like and acknowledge it in real time. So it was amazing. That was like really one of the funnest and most gratifying things, was to see the feedback right away. So yeah, I will definitely be back to do that again. So we did, I think we did close to an hour because we were doing about, 10 minutes each round, and I did both of them twice, or all 4 brain waves twice. So it was, probably just a little bit over an hour. So very cool. And then after that, we went to what is behind me, this amazing tachyon technology med bed, the first of its kind. And, I've seen it, and I kept thinking it, reminded me of the sunbeds way back in the day that I used to take. And I was like waiting for the lights to come on. But yeah, with the tachyon technology, it's not even plugged into the wall, which I was like, wow, that's fantastic, because I don't really understand the technology. So he explained that quite a bit to me. And And of course, there's no fancy lights that come on. I just close the door and off you go on your journey. And it was accompanied by some sound frequency and some other devices that John that and some other devices that Mark has, and it was really